Welcome to Bennett's Bike Social and to the latest episode of our Better Riding series powered by Honda Motorcycles UK. This is the series with all the tips, advice, and anything more that you need to ride your motorcycle even better. Joining me as always is our expert motorcycle coach. It is Mark McVeigh, and here he is.
G'day, Michael. How are you going today?
Hello, boss. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Very well. How about you?
Yes, ready to crack on with another episode.
All right, Mr. McVeigh, what are we learning about today?
Yeah, well, today's a good one. We're talking about how track riding makes you safer on the road.
Ooh, nice specialist subject.
Yes, exactly. And as you've done plenty of track time, Michael. It's not about, becoming a racer. It's about improving your machine control. And, obviously then that gives, road riders more options and confidence and I guess kind of safety margin. So, if you think of the racetrack as your favorite twisty road, but without the chaos, so you've got no oncoming traffic, no gravel or diesel spills or potholes, waiting to punish that small mistake. So on the track, you can explore your motorcycle's capability and relative safety and practice, to your heart's content, make those, I guess, inevitable little mistakes that are all part of learning without, risking your license or, taking risks on the road.
If this was a sales patter for a track day company, you've just won it already. Because look, I know I take no convincing. I require no convincing. At least I think the track is an awesome place to develop skills, riding skills, and understanding your own bike as well. You don't have to go and whiz around at lap record pace. But Mark, you've got your own riding system. You've got your own school. How does track riding fit into those three pillars we talk about often?
Yeah, exactly. So just, motorbikecoach.com, we use that riding system with the three pillars and let's just remind ourselves, skill is about the machine control. That craft is, road craft, hazard perception, spotting those hazards and riding defensively. Mind is the mental game, that's your attitude, your patience, confidence, emotions, and being able to stay calm under pressure, if you like. And, the important thing is, balancing those out, so we score those overall out of 100. And, this could be a rider that has good roadcraft, but maybe the machine control and the mind is a bit lower. Or this could be a track rider, high skill, and the other two are a bit lower. But essentially, we want to be balancing these three pillars out. And that's that gives us the best safety on the road. Really important, so you have that kind of machine control, in the bank, if that makes sense.
I'm sure you've got a graph of those crash statistics that we've often referred to before, and I think it's a fairly obvious thing for at least for me to say that I believe that track riding, the skills one can learn when track riding can help reduce road-based stats. But do you think that's the case, and sort of how does that work?
Yeah, 100%, and if we just remind ourselves of the stats, most riders are crashing by themselves. 50% of motorbike crashes are single vehicle accident, Michael. So, these crashes are not, colliding with another vehicle. It's the rider kind of do it by themselves. So, they can lose control and run wide or, leave the road. And even though other drivers are a major risk, the rider's machine control is a major part of that kind of safety equation. So if the rider kind of panics or target fixates, or, stands the bike up, which, we've seen plenty of times before, this is a really kind of classic one. It makes me cringe every time we look at that. But, that's kind of, if you can get to the track and build those skills up, then that kind of target fixation or panic on the road is less likely to happen. And of course, the road can punish that poor machine control.
Can you learn survival reactions to be used on the road but on the track?
Well, I guess the survival reaction is, a kind of the result of having the low skill, right? and other things that we'll talk about, and like not understanding the grip of your bike. So when you kind of get a surprise on the road, that panic sets in because the rider's ability is low, I guess, compared to the pace that they're going at. And that it's a big contributor to rider trauma on the road. That minute something unexpected happens, and we use the analogy, about Mike Tyson. People are all fine until they get a punch in the nose, and this is what's happening. And the rider kind of panics or runs wide, and the corner was tightening, but really they just don't understand their limit or the bike's limit, and how much grip is available from their tires. So when you get a smaller problem, like they're running in a bit hot or there's a bit of gravel or whatever, they kind of react like there's no grip at all. Like you could see those bikes had plenty of lean angle left. They could have trail braked a little bit, So the key thing I think about the track riding is it really teaches you grip, understanding that what your tires are like, braking, cornering, and accelerating, etc., etc. So the grip stops being a mystery, and you kind of start to understand that, tires can handle like remarkable loads. They just don't like sudden loads. So if you're abrupt, you can overload the tire. But, if you're progressive and you load that tire properly, like we can see here, it makes a big difference. And, that one idea can, change your riding dramatically.
That's so true, isn't it? I think that the emphasis about, or if you've never ridden on track before, even if you're a relative newcomer to riding on track, it's easy to forget why you're there. Some people turn up to a track day for the first time or whatever, the fifth time, 10th time, and they think it's all about going fast as you can round the corner, fast as you can down the straight, and making sure that your brakes are good. But actually, it's not, is it? A lot of it, if you approach a track day with the right kind of attitude, I mean, we spoke about mind, craft, and skill already, but if you focus on what it is that your tires can achieve and how that can help you, that's a huge benefit to track riding. But Mark, just coming back to those crash stats then, most rider crashes we know happen in corners, don't they? It's fairly obvious that track riding can help, can't it?
Yeah, exactly. But riders don't crash because they can't ride in a straight line, that's for sure. So the problems in the corners, turning in too early, running wide, looking down at their front wheel, the front tire, and then the panic, as we saw, sets in when the corner tightens. And on the road, every corner is different. You get kind of one go at it and then it's gone. But on the track, the same corner comes around again and again. And that's a really big part of track riding, is the repetition. You can work on your corner entry, your vision, your speed, your braking, your steering, your body position, all those things, and then come back around the next time and do it better. So you're kind of not guessing, you're kind of calibrating, and that's really, how your skills improve.
I guess the more track riding you do, a lot of those coaches and teachers on track, they talk about reference points, don't they, where you're going to brake, change gear, hit your apex, accelerate, and so on, getting into and out of a corner as smoothly, as quickly as possible. But obviously there's no traffic approaching you on the track as well. But how can reference points help you on the road? Obviously, if you're riding on the same road each and every time, or you've got a favourite road, then sometimes those reference points can help. I suppose you've then got to worry about trees growing, letterboxes being painted, or whatever. But can it help? Can reference points help?
Yeah, well, obviously on the road, the reference points that you use are dynamic, depending on your kind of safety bubble, so it's really what's happening around you from the hazards that really decides where you're going to, brake, turn in, apex, exit, that kind of thing. But on the track, you've obviously got those, 4 reference points that we spoke about. And what that does is really, it's brilliant for training, precision, putting the bike exactly where it should be. But the biggest thing that I seen, we've trained 10,000 riders, and to be blunt, like, it's riders' vision is really poor. We get the riders coming at the start, and they're barely looking a few meters in front of the bike, and they obviously stare at pothole or a gravel or a bumper or whatever. And, experienced riders look further ahead. And I've got this eye tracking video. Now, this guy's one of our coaches, and I'll just run it through a bit and then we'll come back. But he went on to race in Moto 3, So a really high level rider, but you can just see how far ahead he's looking, so he's picking his reference points, and he's looking right around that corner. This is a long left-hander. Look how far ahead that is. So, that is just massive. And if I kind of roll this back to the start, just to make a point, as he's coming in at the start here, if you look at that other rider, that other rider's a lot slower and completely on the wrong line. So he's not actually looking directly at that rider. He's actually looking through him, right? He knows where the rider is, but he's looking for his, apex and his exit points. So you can see there, he's peripherally, making sure he stays out of the way. So that's kind of one of the things that, we see, riders looking too close, the corner feels rushed, their steering becomes jerky, you turn in too early. Once you start lifting your eyes, suddenly your motorcycle feels calmer, even when you're going faster. And that lesson transfers directly to the road. That vision is massive.
Yeah. What other skills are transferable then?
Yeah, well, something else that's massively transferable is trail braking. So, carrying some brake pressure into the corner, and then as you're tipping in and adding lean, you're taking away brake pressure. Now, on the track, or if you're racing, for example, you're doing that basically as close to the limit of the tyre as you can, and on every corner. Obviously, on the road, that's a different ball game. Trail braking, as we've said before, is a skill. It's not for every level of rider, and it's not a strategy. But once you get your license, every rider should be able to trail brake. Because that's showing your machine controllability. So if we have a look at what trail braking kind of looks like on the track, you can see up here we've got a bit of a GG diagram. That's 1.5 G, and you can see as the rider goes through the corner, they're applying the full braking pressure to 1.5 G, and then as they add in the lean, so this is to the right, they're adding the lean, and then the brake pressure, which is in this axis, is reducing until they're at the apex and they're off the brake, and then they're applying the throttle and accelerating away. So that's obviously, full on compared to the road, which would look something like this. So much softer. This is an open corner, so it's fine to do a little bit of trail braking there, but you can see the forces are much lower, the speeds are much lower, and it just gives that rider, that kind of ability, if you like, to, if they have a problem, or if the corner tightens up more than expected, they have this skill up in their back pocket. But essentially then, there's less chance of having a survival reaction, because the rider then has so much understanding of the grip available from their bike. So, as when we get here, these guys are on the track, they're road riders. I think this is rapid training. So, they're practicing on the track, and just teaches you how to, manage that brake pressure, load the front tire, and, the progression. So that's machine control, right?
Yeah, rapid training. I think I've recently announced a partnership with Honda. So of course our partners with this. So they do road training and track training. But that's my colleague Andy who went along to that session. But let me talk to you something about them getting knee down, because look, we're bamboozled somewhat by social media footage of showing heroes on amazing roads getting the knee down on the roads, which is just not necessary. We get our knees down on the track, yeah, we go for it, and that it's to do with what body position, isn't it? A weight transfer, but that doesn't necessarily apply to road riding, does it? All that knee down stuff.
Oh, definitely not. Shouldn't be riding around with your knee down in the road. Like, that's just not cool at all. But their body position is a thing for the road. And if we look at the track, obviously here's your good self, demonstrating that beautifully. And then if we're riding on the road, it might look, even this is a wee bit kind of exaggerated in my mind. But the key thing is that, your body is, roughly 1/3 of the combined mass of the bike, right? So say your easy math, your bike's 200 kilos and you're 100, so where you put that weight, it makes a big difference. And even a small movement can make a big difference. So even, like we do the figure eights in the car park, and we're getting people to drop their elbows, and you can see their eyes lighten up at the difference that just makes. And, some examples are, A little bit of body position can increase the roll rate of the bike, so the bike can turn in a bit quicker. If you didn't compared to if you didn't have that body position, so that's handy to understand. Sometimes you might need your bike to turn in a bit quicker, right? The other thing with body position is for the same corner speed, you need less lean angles for the same corner speed and radius. So, if you're going around a corner and there's a bit of gravel or something on the road and you want to reduce your lean angle without doing any abrupt changes, a little bit of body position and you can, just calmly get round. So it really does make a big difference. And the goal's obviously, not to look like MotoGP. It's to have, that control in reserve. And when your skill level goes up, then your kind of safety margin goes up with it, right?
We'll be leg dangling next going into the roundabouts, won't we?
Yes.
Mark, you mentioned so what did you say? Something about elbow, pointing your elbow, dropping your elbow. What does that mean?
Well, just, you see a lot of riders and they're kind of very stiff on the bike and their arms are straight. So we always encourage them, hey, just relax your arms a little bit. And there's, obviously we can't teach everything about motorbike riding in one blog or video, but it's kind of part of, just relaxing your hands a little bit, holding on, with the lower part of your body and your core. And then if you drop that inside elbow to the corner, to the inside of the corner, that kind of gives you a better feel on the handlebars, but it also gives a bit of body position because you're dropping that elbow and you find that some of your body goes to the inside, which has that body position effect.
That's a good tip. Leads me on to my next question. We talked about, you mentioned your mind pillar, didn't we, of the 3 pillars in your system earlier on. Can track riding help with that part of your riding as well?
Yeah, 100%. So, the first thing is, and you will know about this, Michael, is, if you've had a proper blast on the track, you're less tempted to ride, have a fang on the road. So you've kind of scratched that itch, and you understand the speed, doesn't belong on the road. So, smart riders kind of separate that out. On the track, you can practice and go fast. And then on the road, you protect. That's the key thing. So, build your skill on the track. But, when you get back out on the road, you switch back into that kind of defensive mode.
Yeah. Look, you're absolutely right there, and it's really important to understand that as well. So you come off, if you've ridden to the track, as some people do, they do the track day, they get on the road, get on the bike at the end of the day, and go back home again.
Yeah,
but it's very important to make that switch. I think, and we mentioned this earlier on, I think a lot of road riders perhaps feel that track days are mainly for racers, but how do we sort of explain the benefits?
Yeah, well, that's right. A lot of road riders are intimidated to go to the track, and with my school that we ran for 10 years, we wanted more. We had a good amount of track rider customers, but we wanted more road customers. So we basically created reduced friction for them. So we said, hey, you can come and ride in your road gear, so you didn't need to go and buy leathers or rent leathers or stuff like that. And then we just adjusted the speed to suit those, the riding with that type of gear. So that was one of the things. But, once people come and do the first one, they're kind of hooked, right? And many, even though we're training them, for machine control skills to help them on the road, many of them then, they go and get another bike and they go and ride on the track as well. But certainly, track days aren't just for racers. Plenty of them have novice or induction groups. And they match the pace of each rider in each group. You don't have to be quick. You don't need slick tires. You don't have to drag your knee. You just need to have that kind of eagerness to learn. And that said, track day training can be quite rudimentary. Even in the faster groups, you'll see riders making basic mistakes and fundamental mistakes. We used to see heaps of guys go to track days and then, they come to our school and they'd be in the fast group and the track day, but, they were making these basic errors, so proper coaching's important, and you can have more fun with less risk. And of course, you're not going to master riding the track in one day. It's, we talk about the mastery and building, step by step, repeating, make it intuitive and consistent until, your skill level just pops up each time.
One of the things I've often said to new track riders is don't worry about You don't need to buy the slick tyres, the tyre warmers, the gazebos, the generators. You don't need any of that.
No.
Make sure, if you're going to spend your money at track days, spend it on either proper coaching or setting your bike up properly for you, because we're all different shapes and sizes, and suspension isn't a one size fits all. I think we could talk a lot about track riding and how it can be beneficial to road riding, but I fear as though there's only so much people can take in from each of our lessons. And how should we summarise this one, Mark?
Yeah, well, I guess the takeaway is, track riding can make you safer on the road. It gives you that controlled environment to practice those machine controls skills, and that's essentially, what we're after. So, the grip, the vision, cornering, braking, steering, body position, and being calm under pressure, that all develops into the skill pillar. And then when you combine that with your roadcraft and the right mindset, that makes you a smoother and safer and better rider.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly that. I'm all for it. I think everybody should go for track training. We should just don't treat it like a track, like you're going to go and set a record. As I said earlier on, treat it like a road with nothing coming in the other direction, and there's no debris to worry about. Good, Mark. Thank you. That kind of concludes our current series, doesn't it? We'll take a short break, and we will be back soon. But what are we going to focus on next time?
Yeah, well, it's the next series is kind of more off-road adventure series but for road riders too. So yeah, that'll be fun to hook into that one.
So rather than track riding benefiting your road riding, it's adventure riding or off-road riding that can benefit your road riding.
100%.
Brilliant. Mr. McVeigh, have a good day. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Michael. See you next time.
See you. Just going to say thank you as well to Honda Motorcycles UK. And in the meantime, don't forget to check out our other better riding episodes. You can use the playlist link that I'll put in the description below or in the comment section below. And not only can you post your questions or thoughts or comments in the section below there on the YouTube, but you can also come and join us at our own social media site. It's called Bennett's Bike Club. And it's completely free. Come and sign up, join us there. There's about 2,500 members so far. There's different areas that you can post in depending on the kind of question or your thoughts or what you want to, if you want to show off a picture of your video of your bike. And there's a host of actual experts as well. So again, if you've got a question about your tyres, then we've got the bloke from Bridgestone and Dunlop and all of the other manufacturers in there who can give you proper answers as opposed to, your mate Gary from down the pub. And also, I'm going to tell you about Bike Social membership. A membership entitles you to access to up to 300 different motorcycle apparel, clothing, and training discounts. And just search for Bike Social membership in your search engine. Great. Thanks for being with us. And we will see you next time. Honda Motorcycles are supporting this series because safety is one of their key business pillars. And their quest for safety inspires their innovations in products, technology and education, which is why they're committed to achieving zero traffic fatalities involving Honda mobility products worldwide by 2050.